This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. Black Friday Game Day on Prime is an epic day of live sports. It all starts at 9 a.m. Eastern with the Capital One Skins game. Then, Black Friday football returns when the Bears take on the Eagles at 3 p.m. And it culminates with the final night of Emirates NBA Cup Group play with Bucks Knicks at 7 p.m. and Mavs Lakers at 10 p.m. Black Friday Game Day, only on Prime.
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration. And use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels. On everything from lamps to ceiling fans. Even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes. Now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox. Clean feels good.
Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo. There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the five of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do? I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault. A new series streaming now only on Peacock.
REI Co-op presents a perfect outdoor moment with the perfect gift. Picture this. You're ripping with your favorite person. Bluebird skies, blower powder, and frankly, you're skiing like legends.
So sick. Another lap?
Thanks to REI's curation, from lid to sticks, you nailed the gift.
No way. How'd you know?
Does it get more perfect than that? Give without guessing. Shop in store or visit rei.com.
Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Spread with your host, Mark Henry Jr., coming up for the next 45 minutes right here on the Eagles Pin Pull Network. Can't lie, I almost said the Tough Cover Radio Show because I've got my old co-host with me here, Sean Bernard, my guy. You can go check out everything he's doing over at Sean_Bernard1. Check out everything he's doing over at DK Network in terms of content crossing broad. Still doing stuff at Fox PHL, The Gambler. Sean Bernard, anywhere you look, he's hitting on the Sixers. Pace and Space, great episode that I plan on checking out today with Yaron Weitzman, with my guy Sam Austrian, a show that Sam and Sean do. Sean, how we doing?
Doing well, Mark Henry Jr. Appreciate you having me back on. I feel like I got a little bit more juice today than the first time that you had me on. Thanks to a little Philly traffic getting in here today. The blood's boiling, the heart's pumping. I'm ready to roll, ready to talk some ball.
Yeah, if anybody who's been out there, I don't know if you've been noticing it too. I've been noticing it. I haven't been home all week, and then I got home yesterday, drove home from the city. I'll wrap this up in a second. No one wants traffic talk, but traffic in and out of the city right now, insane the last couple of days. I think it's a construction issue. I don't know. Who knows what's going on?
On today, I was unaware of
that. Well, the marathon today, yeah. My issues were yesterday. It's been, and then Anyway, let's talk ball. Well, let's talk ball. I'm not talking routes here. If I'm talking routes, we're talking on the football field. But let's start on the basketball court here, because while I was on a plane home from Chicago, I'm tracking the Sixers game live on the tracker. Wasn't able to get any streaming going, and I just see Maxey's point total keep going up and up and up and up. And I got home right in the middle of the fourth quarter, was able to catch the fourth quarter. Juwan, I think we were still coming off of an awesome Maxey game in that one. And we were talking about like the development of Maxey and what this guy can be. And it feels like, it didn't even feel like the ceiling of what he can do.
Yeah, it already feels like he has surpassed any realistic ceiling that you could have put on the dude, and I don't think he's done getting better. And like that 54-point performance, That was one of those rare moments to me that it felt like this guy is not letting this team lose under any circumstance. And I know we've talked plenty about the third quarter struggles for the Sixers team. Maxey played the entire third quarter to that game and said he told Nick Nurse he wants to play the entire third quarter until we figure this out. And that's sort of his growth as a leader and really taking on like the face of the organization, face of this team is so notable to start this team or to start this season, but just the skill set in its entirety. I mean, he's got a legitimate case for the best guard in the Eastern Conference. He's at this stage in the year a no doubt all-star, no doubt all-NBA talent. And again, like you said, I don't think he's done getting better just yet. It's really exciting to see what he's turned into at such a rapid rate.
And then something that I've loved watching, to move off Maxey, is I've been loving watching Quentin Grimes these last couple games. And the guy has no fear in terms of taking inside, shooting from three, like late in games. And, sometimes it doesn't go well, but I love that the guy has the confidence in himself. And I'm not looking at who else is in the sixth man race right now. It's early for that. And, especially in the NBA, you start on the bench, guys get hurt, you end up starting. You don't even end up being in the race when you led the race we've seen that plenty of times. But I mean, right now, Quentin Grimes, how can he not be in the conversation?
Yeah, I believe he's second in the league in bench scoring there. He's sometimes unafraid to a fault, I would say, but there are moments where...
He's still been pretty efficient, 46.5%, yeah.
Yeah, no, the shooting's been great. The only critique that I would throw at Quentin Grimes is he feels a bit too sped up at certain times to me, but they've needed his skill set, and he's absolutely delivered with this. We're starting to see some encouraging signs from Jared McCain, finally him beginning to look like himself again. It was a rough start to the year and a really difficult, I don't think people have quite given him enough grace for. This is a dude whose rookie season got ended prematurely due to a meniscus tear, and the start of his second season getting delayed due to a torn ligament into his thumb. The level of roster change that has gone on around him, that's a really difficult situation to adjust to there. So it's nice to see the ball go through the hoop a little bit. I think he's going to play a real role in this second unit and guard depth as a whole. So I'm curious how much McCain eats into that too a little bit there. But yeah, Grimes has been great. Their guards are among the deepest in the league.
And then in terms of the Grimes deal, where obviously both sides, I think, negotiated in bad faith. And both sides, I think, handled that situation poorly. We can debate who handled it worse and whose fault it is until the end of time. But does the way he's playing, I mean, I guess it's 17 a game, 40% from three, even 4.1 assists as kind of a secondary ball handler. Is the way he's playing kind of making you feel better or worse about what happened in the offseason? So something I actually misunderstood when that happened, I thought that eradicated bird rights. And I was told the other day we still have bird rights.
They do.
Okay, so that makes me feel a little better. When I freaked out about that, I don't know what I saw. I thought we lost bird rights when we did that. But how does it feel now for you after we've kind of seen it a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the way it went down was ideal for either side, to be perfectly honest, which is kind of why it sucked the way it was all brought up there. Quentin Grimes has since changed representation, which I think tells you a bit about how he felt, how it went about it. For the Sixers angle specifically here, I kind of didn't mind the approach. I think I was less critical than most because of the mindset of, for starters, I don't think he was ever will be a guy worth $30 million annually, and I think that's the type of money that he was talking there and wanted, and I understand trying to capitalize on your career best season. But when you factor in the rest of the guys, Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jared McCain, that's a lot of guard talent you already had that you're still sorting through. How does this all fit together? So having him come back on the one-year qualifying offer, the $8.7 million there, and just basically prove that what he did last year was real, which he has been off to a strong start to the season. And I do like him as a player. This is, I guess, all of my concerns are not really about Quentin Grimes directly, but how does it fit into the entire context of this team? So I think it was kind of kick the can down the line. Let's see this play out for a season. Let's see how these guys play with each other, because Grimes didn't get a chance to play with either McCain. Edgecombe's obviously new, and there wasn't a ton of overlap with Maxey either. So it's all pretty new. So I kind of didn't mind the approach, and I think the honest answer to this is still to be determined based on how the rest of the season goes.
And VJ, obviously, I think has had some tough moments here recently, but still in the clutch has had moments of being an absolute dog. So I don't even actually think there's much to talk about VJ in terms of what we've already said about him when we've talked together. But I actually want to talk about PG and Joel. So PG last night, awesome start to the game and probably looked better last night than we've seen in quite a while from PG. And then Joel. What's kind of your read on Joel going forward and what's going on right now with him? And then kind of how encouraged were you by PG last night?
Yeah, I was a bit surprised that Joel did not play in the previous game there. The day before, so it was a back-to-back in that Raptors game. He was listed as doubtful for most of the day and then downgraded to out. I kind of presumed that to mean that they were wanting to pair him and Paul George to play together, but he never even appeared as doubtful in the injury report the following day. It was just listed as out straight through. I'm not going to be a guy who's fired up and banging the table that he's not playing in November right now. There's a part of me that's very comforted by there does seem to be a clear approach and a priority to keep this guy as healthy as possible. Now, granted, the track record for that being successful or for him having a chance, I get it. I understand. But this is also an effort level that they haven't shown at any point in his career. I'm not worried about Joel just yet. I was a little bit surprised that he did not play in that second night of the back-to-back there where Paul George was on the floor. But ultimately, we'll see when we get there. I'm not panicked by any means. And for Paul George, it's just nice to see him out there, man. He's still Paul George. And I think people have forgotten that. This is a guy who scored the first 11 points of the game, who is the truest wing that we've had on a Sixers team in years to this point. He's going to be just fine, and the fit is just great, regardless of the way that he's sometimes talked about.
And then I think the Joel thing is more just that we haven't seen him since the knee soreness.
Yeah.
Since he reported that. So I think that's the fear, is just that grows into something else, even though they kind of cleared it. But we know how that goes. Let's move on and talk about the other team in the city. And Sean has heard me rant about stuff like this so many times. And I actually I haven't dived as deep into the mud this year and this time, I think, as I would have in the past. And I think the truth is that the Lombardi mellowed me and changed the way that I handle the Eagles season in a way that it does not seem to have impacted anybody else's way that they handle the Eagles season.
Yeah, some other people should take notes on that mindset right there.
And it's been this way since the offseason. People getting in Jalen Hurts QB debates this offseason, I was like, guys, we don't have to argue anything anymore. We won. We were right. We proved it. It was proven. We all saw it. It was nationally televised. Everybody watches the Super Bowl. So it's just beyond me that a team can win 2 of the last 3 NFCs, can go to the Super Bowl 2 of the last 3 years, can start the year 8-2 with wins over Tampa, Kansas City, the Los Angeles Rams, the Detroit Lions, the Green Bay Packers, even the Dallas Cowboys, if we want to go all the way back that far.
Big boy wins.
And here we are, and we're the story of dysfunction, and we're the story of, this offense can't figure it out, and this team they're the Super Bowl favorites. They're the 1 seed in the NFC. They have tiebreakers over more than half of the NFC playoff field. I'm absolutely dumbfounded. And I can't even believe the way that people are talking about this. And I understand, has the offense looked pretty all year long? No. And people are so focused on the Jalen aspect of it, and AJ obviously, makes that worse. The issue is what AJ said. Is Saquon a worse player? Because Saquon's rushing for 2 yards per carry worse. I don't think that's necessarily only on Saquon. I think that that's also partially on the offensive line. I think there's issues with the play calling. But having said all of that, with a team that's 8-2, with a defense that's as good as the Eagles is, with the proven track record of what they've done in 2 of the last 3 postseasons, how could you not look at some of the flashes we've seen? We saw the second half against the Rams, where Jalen threw for 200 yards, put up 27 points, and they come back and perfect passer rating. They come back and beat the Rams from behind. You look at that first half against Dallas to open the year. They were incredible until they took the foot off the gas. In the second half, they didn't do anything. They scored 31 on Tampa. The first half against Denver, they looked unbelievable. Obviously, the second half was terrible. They put up 38 on the Giants. Obviously, it's the Giants. But the Lions get all the credit in the world when they go out and put 55 up on bad teams. And you look at 28 on the Vikings. Was it pretty? Was it beautiful? Maybe not. They scored 28 points. That's above league average by quite a bit. And the last 2 weeks, they went to Green Bay when it was freezing cold. And then they played at home against Detroit when it was freezing cold. I'm not saying that that's the entire conversation. There's obviously other factors. But it is insane to me. And it's such revisionist history on what last year was. People just think we won every game 45-0. We almost lost to the Browns. We almost lost to the 4-13 Jaguars. We had bad moments. We were 2-2 to start the year. We had plenty of bad moments. I think people are being insane. I think this is the best team in football, and I think they're probably going to go win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there are no perfect teams in football, and the Eagles are just about as close as you're going to find to that. And the defense has been unbelievable, especially of late and really in the overall part of the year. The Jalen Hurts conversation is maddening to me and will forever be maddening to me because I simply don't know what more he could do to cement the beliefs of people. I don't want to hear that, like, the questions of is this the guy or anything. What more could he possibly do, man? The guy just wins. And I do think, like, to Jalen's credit, you can give me the X and O's breaks down, how he's not, excellent over the middle or the slant routes, whatever you want to throw in my face. The way that he can just kind of navigate the stuff like this that's just so unnecessary thrown at him kind of makes him the guy more so than anything to me. And I love that he keeps his head on his shoulders the way that he does. The A.J. Brown stuff gets annoying for sure. That's the only part that's been a little bit bothersome to me this year. But, like, at the end of the day, they're an 8-2 football team, man. They have the most wins of any team in the NFC. You can't be mad about where they sit on the season. I think the honest takeaway is they're one of the, like, boring good football teams, so people try and, like, start things up and find angles and find takes like that. But at the end of the day, they just win games, and there's not much more that we could be asking for.
And I think people don't want to hear this, and I don't love it all the time, but there's something to what Nick is saying with the turnover-free football. When you have a defense as good as this, when you have a team that you're confident in the fourth quarter in a close game, there is something to not emptying the playbook and not emptying the war chest and being too aggressive and shooting yourself in the foot and turning the ball over on your side of the field, doing crazy stuff like that. I understand the running the ball on third down. Now, if it's 3rd and 15, maybe take a chance. We have some guys who can make a play. There are some things I get frustrated with too. I'm not going to say everything's perfect and the offense is great. But how could you sit here and act like there haven't been flashes enough to show you that what we saw for 2 of the last 3 years is still in there? Like, and it's still the Derek Gunn stuff. That's what I'd say to that. Like, the guy didn't even say anything, by the way. He was like, it kind of feels like a Carson Wentz situation, but they know they can't do anything. And, he was not saying anything while saying something.
And the point that I wrote an article for Crossing Broad basically about that whole thing. And the point that I made there is, like, at best, that's a huge leap that Derek Gunn is taking in that. Like,
100%.
I put the chances at 0.0% that anyone inside the Eagles organization mentioned the words Carson Wentz in comparison to Jalen Hurts, whether that's cap hit, personality, play style, anything in between. None of that, I believe, happened. And I think people have run with that further than has been the case with it. I think it stems back to, like, it's boring. They need something. They're an 8-2 football team. They're very good. Jalen Hurts is not going to be this quotable guy. I mean, he is to, like, the cliches and all that kind of thing, but he's not going to be, Baker Mayfield on the mic or guys like that are Josh Allen that are going to, like, fire you up. So I think
people worse records.
You guys with worse record who have done far less in the NFL. So I don't know. It's annoying. I think there is a world where, like, the best thing for this football team is kind of that it's like this band together, us against them, which is a pretty strange mentality for a defending champion. But I do think, like, there's a world where that is the pathway that this points to their favor. And regardless, like, if I'm any of these guys in the locker room, I'd be so sick of these continuing to be the storylines.
And we got 5 minutes left, and let's just hit on the Eagles game this week. We got Dallas week here, and I'll get ahead of my pick segment. Eagles are now 49-9 when Jalen and AJ start and finish a game together. Obviously, Lane being out throws some factors off that, but I personally love that Dallas just spent all week, a short week, by the way, getting smoke blown up their butts, and everyone thinks they're totally fixed now, and they have a great defense with Quentin Williams. Or they just played the Raiders, who are 2-9. I think the Eagles can score 24, 27 points, somewhere in that range. Cowboys scored 10 to 17 points, somewhere in that range. I feel great about a cover in this one. Even the first game, there's no Jalen Carter, and in a game we played poorly on both sides and they won by 4, they would have covered the spread. I get it's on the road, but I feel great about the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm hoping this game does not start with Jalen Carter hocking a loogie on Dak Prescott. Hopefully that doesn't need to be said, but apparently it does based off last game. But nonetheless, that is water under the bridge at this stage. I think this is a great get-right spot for this Eagles team because that Cowboys defense is still atrocious, regardless of how they looked against the Raiders, with Geno Smith absolutely put it on an interception clinic all season. I would love for this to be like them put 35-plus on the board, and I think they can absolutely make that happen. So I do like the Eagles this week. I do like the over in the game as a whole. The Eagles team total over is something that I'm particularly high on here, but I think this is going to be a get right spot where they're able to show this offense still has top end potential, that when things are clicking and things are humming, this is the type of defense that makes that entirely possible. We can put up points with the best of the league. That's kind of my expectation for this week, and I think they get the job done.
2 of the next 3 games in a dome. I do think that's interesting coming. I feel like a lot of people think like it's cope to bring up the fact that the last 2 games have been really cold. I think you see like in freezing cold games in the playoffs, we've seen like 13-7 games. Like I think there's a reason for that, but whatever. I'm not going to talk too much about that. I think playing in a dome in Dallas against a bad defense, coming home and playing Chicago, we'll see what the weather is obviously, but there goes my dog. My dog disagrees on the weather, but Chicago is not a great defense. And then you go to the Chargers, who have melted down as a defense, and that dome is also going to be taken over by Eagles fans, and it's a dome. So I think these next 3 games are a really good spot to get the Eagles right offensively. Anything else on the NFL board in terms of Week 12 that you're eyeing up as maybe a spread for people to target?
Yeah, and you failed to mention a fraudulent quarterback in that Chargers matchup as well. I got to make sure.
Hey, that team, he has me and you blocking for him right now. Oh, my God.
Much of an anti-Justin Herbert guy, I'm concerned he might die in the matchup with the Texans.
The one hit last week, it was like a wrestling move where he got hit on the legs and up top at the same time. It was like a tag team wrestling move. Unbelievable.
Like, again, I'm as anti-Justin Herbert guy as you'll find. There's a part of sympathy that I feel for the dude that is just a punching bag currently. But, I mean, as far as the NFL as a whole, I got 2 kind of a little bit storyline picks that I'm riding with. One in college football, one in NFL football. I'm going Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels taking down Duke this week. I like you can get them at +7. I think the spread's the better bet. I think they've been playing better. Gio Lopez has thrown for 200 yards in each of the last 4 weeks after throwing for less than 100 in 2 of the first 4 and really struggling as a passer there. I do think their defense has looked pretty legitimate all year, and that Duke defense is brutal. A little rivalry matchup, a little bit of extra juice. I don't care that he's at cheer practice and watching all those things. I think that North Carolina is going to give him a dogfight this week. I like the spread, and I think they're alive on the money line as well. And then in the NFL here, Shedeur Sanders, man, I'm giving him a chance with the Browns. And the fact that they're playing the Raiders, who, as we just mentioned, are an atrocious football team, and a football team that was linked to Shedeur's. There was plenty of buzz about that leading up. I think he was thrown into a tough spot last week where he's, injected mid-game, has to play on the fly against a tougher matchup there. Now that he's got a week to prepare, a week that he is the guy, I would love to see Shedeur shine. I like the Browns to win outright against a really bad Raiders team.
Yeah, I'm on the Browns +4 there. I'm not confident in Shedeur to play great. I don't think he's going to be worse than Dylan Gabriel has been. And the Browns have stuck in games with Dylan Gabriel against better teams than the Raiders. So I just think this is an anti-Raiders bet. I'm taking the Browns +4. What I want, and I think would be awesome or so funny, is if the Browns win like 10-7 or 13-10, and it's like Shedeur's a winner. Like that would be a funny narrative. Yeah, stick up the wrist. Yeah, that would be fun. But Sean Bernard, I'm going to let you go. Go check out Sean Bernard's show later on, the Sean Bernard Show on Fox Sports The Gambler. Check it out on Twitter at Sean_Bernard1. Check out everything he's doing over on DK Network and Crossing Broad. Thanks so much for coming on, brother.
Yes, sir. Always good chopping it up, Mark. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Of course, always good to have my old co-host, Sean Bernard, my guy. Eagles, or our Sixers plug. I use our Eagles plug too, but our Sixers plug here on Saturday morning spread. And we're going to be having them on plenty as the basketball season rolls on. I got to tell you what, folks, I might be retired from betting on the NBA. I am 1-9 this year on NBA picks. I'm like 500 in college basketball. I look at the NBA board and that's like, by the way, they've been playing for a month and a half, and I only have picked 10 games because when you don't win any bets, you don't find any teams that you think are undervalued and you start riding with, or trends like overs and unders. I just can't find a trend to ride. Like every trend I ride dies. Every team I bet stinks. I went 0-2 last night. Neither bet was close. I've had a good football year. Generally speaking, I'd have to find the up. 74 and 62 at +36 units in the NFL. I'm exactly even in college football, 49, 46, and 2. So great NFL season. But I am now 1-9, -7 units in the NBA. So can't have it. I think I've lost my touch in the association. So I'm sticking to college basketball. And of course, to my bread and butter, to football. One of the last college football Saturdays here coming up, and I've only got 6 bets on the card. I have one lean that I will get to, but at 12 o'clock, I like Missouri +7 at Oklahoma. That line is now up to 6. Bo Perbula, Missouri's starter, is playing. I would still take it at the 6. I think Missouri has a chance to win the game outright. This Oklahoma defense is very good, but because of how bad the offense is, they are legitimately a bottom 2 offense in the SEC, just about every metric, right there with Kentucky and Auburn pretty much, and every metric in the bottom 3, I should say. But last week, I get it. Like, Oklahoma beat Alabama. Let's celebrate it, and the games have to matter. I totally understand. It was so fraudulent. They were outgained by 200 yards. They had a punt return, touchdown. They had, a pick 6. They had all these fumbles it was so lucky that Oklahoma won that game. Every success rate, every EPA, every metric that you can look at in that game said it was the biggest upset of the week in terms of unexpected win. I think they do the post-game or post-box score win expectancy based on some of these metrics, and Oklahoma was one of the lowest of the entire year. It was like 4%. They had a 4% chance looking at all the stats for them to have won the game. So pretty unbelievable. I don't know. I'm not as much of a nerd to understand those numbers enough, but I look at them and say it makes sense. They were outgained by 200 plus yards and we're pretty much only in it from swing plays and negative plays. My next bet on the card on the noon slate is not one that I want to make, but I'm taking Miami minus 17.5 at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, that fan base is not showing up, I would say, right now. They're excited about next year with James Franklin. But Miami, these players in Virginia Tech don't even know if they're going to be here with James Franklin next year for a large part. So I think Miami still got something to prove. Obviously, I think the argument is dumb between Miami and Notre Dame. I don't have any sympathy for what Miami has because of how bad their losses were. I don't have any sympathy for any of BYU, Miami, Vanderbilt, Utah, whoever you want to throw at me. I have no sympathy for any of them behind Notre Dame. I will say, even as a Notre Dame fan, you see the hat, bought that in South Bend this week, by the way, a quick trip to Notre Dame. It was absolutely absurd for Notre Dame to be ranked above Alabama. Now, it's not going to matter because Alabama plays in the SEC title game. So if they lose, they'll be out or they'll be the last seed in. And if they win, they'll be in and they'll be ranked above Notre Dame. I think the committee, a little conspiracy theory here, I think the committee put them there in case they were a 3-loss SEC team with a conference championship loss. Because if it's close between Notre Dame and Bama, they don't want to put it in a spot where Bama cannot drop below Notre Dame no matter what, even if they lose the SEC championship. Now, if they go out there and they lose by 1 at the end of the game, maybe they'll rank them above Notre Dame anyway. But I think that they gave them an opportunity to go either way. And now if they win, it doesn't matter anyway. So I think that was actually the committee kind of giving themselves an out. But I think if you just look resume-wise, it doesn't make any sense. So I've been debating for Notre Dame all year long. I'm obviously pretty biased. But I will say it doesn't make sense to me that they're ranked above Alabama. So, but anyway, I don't think Miami has a legitimate gripe. I don't think they're going to get into the college football playoff as an at-large. And you look at the likelihood of them to make the ACC championship, it's not very high. So I don't think Miami makes the playoff. But I think they can make the playoff. And I think they have to go out there and prove something. And I think they will. I think they're going to go out there and beat Virginia Tech by 20 plus in this game. So Miami minus 17.5. Vanderbilt at 330, another team I don't really care about the gripes for, but I'm betting on in this game. Vanderbilt minus 8 against Kentucky. I think this line's just a touch low. I think it should be a double-digit spread. Vandy coming off of a week off, still has something to prove. I think they played so many close games in a row. I think Pavia kind of tries to get a blowout on their resume, get them back in the Heisman race, put some points up here on Kentucky. They had a week off to prepare for this one. My best bet of the week, USC plus 10.5 at Oregon. And I think they're going to win the game outright. Everybody talks about how bad USC's been on the road. They've been traveling to the Midwest or all the way across the country. They're going up a little bit to Oregon. It's not a far trip for USC here. I think USC is very accustomed to making those trips to Oregon for the last who knows how many years. I don't think that's going to be what the problem is of going to Illinois and Nebraska and all the way East Coast, Northwestern, all these types of cold places and different environments than they're used to. So give me USC plus 10.5. Mayava is playing really, really well. And Oregon, really not an impressive game against Iowa, I'd say. Obviously, the loss to Indiana. The only times they've played at all competent opponents, they haven't looked like this rolling ball of chainsaws that they looked like at the beginning of the year and that they've looked like against bad teams like Minnesota. So maybe I'm kind of eating the cheese here. There's a chance I'm very much eating the cheese, but I'm walking into the trap. I think USC can absolutely win this game. And my big prediction is one of USC or Missouri will win today. 100% one of USC or Missouri wins today. So I'm going with USC plus 10.5. I would sprinkle on money line, but USC 4-unit play for me. Missouri a 2-unit play. Miami a 1-unit play. Vanderbilt a 1-unit play. I'm also going to take the over at 59 in USC Oregon for 1 unit. Since Lincoln has been at USC, he has been the most profitable over coach in the country. Only 6-4 this year, but some of the cupcake games weigh that down. I think this type of big game and this exact type of game that goes over in his is the exact type of game that goes over in his tenure. But this time, I think he may just win it too. At 4:15, give me Coastal Carolina plus 24.5 out South Carolina. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in this game in the second half either. This is just way too many points. Feels like a classic letdown spot after South Carolina's heartbreaking and depressing loss after being up 30-3 against Texas A&M before Shane Beamer coached with his nuts and his, tucked between his legs. Coastal has scored between 40 to 45 points in their last 4 games. I do not think it's going to be easy to blow this team out. They can run the football. Their quarterback runs for like 150 yards per game. He's absolutely electric. Give me Coastal plus 24.5. I think they can hang in this game against a beaten down South Carolina team. And that's going to do it for my college football plays on the board. That is a 3-unit play for me, by the way. In the NFL at 1 o'clock, I've got the Chicago Bears minus 2.5 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've got Patrick Mahomes anytime touchdown plus 300. He scored in 4 of the last 10 games this year. This is a make or break Mahomes play for me. If he doesn't score, I'm off the train of betting this weekly. But it's a huge game. Do or die a bit for KC. I think he runs a bit more. I think he gets in for one. If I don't bet this, or if I don't win this bet, I will not bet Patrick Mahomes anytime touchdown for the rest of the season. At 4:05, big slate for me on the late slate. I got the Jags minus 2.5 against the Cardinals. Don't have any stats for this one. I'm just going to tell you, I think the Cardinals are absolutely horrible. I don't care that Jacoby Brissett broke the completions record and has his jersey in Canton. Yes, that's right. Jacoby Brissett is immortalized in the Pro Football Hall of Fame for his performance last week in which they lost by like 20 points. But give me the Jags minus 2.5. I was so impressed with what they did against the Chargers defense last week. Obviously, that Chargers O-line is a joke, as you just heard Sean Bernard say. But that Jags offense really, really picked apart that Chargers defense. Give me the Browns plus 4, as we just talked about with Sean. Gino's 12-20-2 against the spread as a favorite. Dating back to 2019, Pete Carroll's teams are just 4-11-1 against the spread, playing on short rest. I would take Cleveland if they were a pick 'em, and they're plus 4. I think it's going to be a short or a low-scoring game, so I don't mind getting 4 points here as an underdog. At 4:25, give me the Eagles minus 3 at the Dallas Cowboys, as we discussed with Sean Bernard. Give me Jalen Hurts touchdown, as everybody knows every week for me. Give me Dallas Goedert touchdown. Goddard has scored in 5 of the last 8 games. And then we get to another game here. The New Orleans Saints minus 1.5 against the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are 1-5 straight up and 0-6 against the spread in Kirk's last 6 starts, dating back to last season. 0-4 in the Superdome since 2020. No Drake London in this game for the Falcons. I'm out. They are so reliant on Bijan and London in that offense. Once you take away the one, I am out on the rest of the offense. Falcons pass defense also just allowed 448 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 20 first downs to Bryce Young, allowing 6 red zone trips to be successful. I'm out on the Falcons. Entirely out on the Falcons. Time for Tyler Show to show me the money. Sunday Night Football, Tampa Bay. Give me Tampa Bay plus 7 at the Rams for 4 units. The Bucs are 16-10 with Baker against the spread as a dog. When Baker and the Bucs are off the loss as a duo, they are now 13-5 against the spread in their next game after last week. In his career, Baker is 17-8 against the spread when listed as a dog off of a loss, and 12-4 against the spread in the spot since 2021. That's going to do it for my picks. I will say my one lean that might end up on the card is Chiefs minus 3. I'm seeing 3.5 out there. If I can get a Chiefs minus 3, I might end up taking it. against the Colts. I do just think it's such a do-or-die spot for KC. They're 0-5 in close games. You have to think that luck swings the other way at some point. So that would be a way I'd lean. I don't have a lean on any of the crazy big spreads. Like, I don't have a lean on Seahawks Titans or Giants Lions or Jets Ravens or Vikings Packers. Even Panthers 49ers 7 feels like so many points to me. So that's going to do it for my college football slate as well as my NFL slate. Thanks to Sean Bernard for popping on to the show. And we'll be back next Saturday morning spread country. Let's rock.